Disruption. Probably one of the most commonly used terms in the corporate lexicon, probably one of the most misused and misunderstood too. So I looked to dispel some of the myths in an article I wrote for Strategy and Business with my good friend Kostas Markides, a professor at London Business School. And here's a quick summary. So picture this. You're a traditional incumbent organisation facing off against a startup, a dynamic, capable, ambitious startup, or indeed a fiercest competitor looking to attack your business. What do? Well, we asked nearly 500 CEOs, and the majority of them said that they'd look to evolve their core business, invest in it, refine it. And that might be the right thing to do, it might not. It really depends on whether it's worth saving, whether it's resilient, strong enough to withstand the competitive disruption. Now that's a really tricky question to answer. If you're a leader or a manager in that business that you've invested your career in building that core proposition, it's your baby. So what do? Well, probably best to bring in new talent, to encourage people from trusted suppliers or partners to ask their opinion as to what to do, or indeed voices inside the organisation, those who haven't been asked before, perhaps those who have a slightly different, rebellious perspective. What it takes is a mindset of a new entrepreneur, if you like, somebody looking to start your business afresh with all your strengths, and then ask the question, how would you respond to the threat? And talking of threat, the second thing to consider is how do you create the urgency to change? 3/4 of those CEOs said that you need to create a burning platform to create a degree of fear inside of people to encourage them to change. And that does work, but it only works for a short amount of time. Psychologists say that you need to make the case for change positive, personal, emotive, encouraging people to change the way they think, feel, behave, because they know where you're going, they know why you're looking to change. But you also need to put in workable mechanisms in the organisation to give people the safety and the support to do so, whether that's the amount of time they spend, a change in role, or incentives. In a recent article, Professor Christina Gravett from the University of Copenhagen looked at a fascinating case study that illustrated this point. She looked at what happened at a subway in Stockholm, where they converted a staircase into a piano. So when you walked up it, you could hear the sounds of the piano and you could see the piano keys. And it did encourage people to switch from the less healthy option, which was the intention, which was the escalator to the stairs, for a short period of time. But it didn't sustain. It was a little bit gimmicky. What did work, however, are examples like putting vegetarian options at the top of a menu. It does encourage people to think differently about their meal choices and try a vegetarian option, not just in the first few days of the experiment, but in the weeks and months afterwards. So responding to disruption is hard. It requires a fresh and new mindset. It requires you to ask new questions. It requires you to make the case in a way that's more personal, perhaps than corporate. And it also requires you to put the support in place for people inside the organisations to take a risk, to do things differently.